So I've got two copies of Amazing Spider-Man 48 to grade today. One is in pretty low grade condition, one is more of a mid grade. So we're going to grade them both. We'll use the grading tool that I came up with, and I'll put a link in the description and above as well if you want to check out this tool. But basically we have 7 different areas of the book that we grade, and we put them in a different category based on the defects or lack thereof. So we'll go ahead and get started with book number 1. So this is the lower grade copy. As you can see, it's beat up pretty good. It's got a big crease, color breaking right here. The spine's pretty poor. It's got a big piece missing here. So this looks more like, probably be like a reader's copy or something like that. But we're going to go ahead and grade it anyway and see what we come up with here. So first thing we'll look for is something, some kind of bindery issue. And this book's too damaged to really see something like that, so we'll leave that blank. However, we'll look at these corners. Now, it doesn't get much worse than this corner here. We've got a giant piece missing. This one's blunted pretty good. All 4 are blunted pretty good on both. It looks that way. Back actually looks better than the front, which is pretty common, but we're still going to go with major damage on the corners because we have this giant section missing right here. So I'll mark that. As far as the edges goes, we have quite a bit of damage. There's a crease here. There's pitting along the bottom here and along this side as well. It's pretty significant along here. There's several little tiny pieces missing, and I don't even want to peel this back because I'm afraid I'll make it worse than it already is. There's also along the top the same thing, and if you can see it on the top here, it's pretty pronounced. I'm not sure if it shows up on video good, but there's some little, it's been pulled back, and there's some tears on there as well, and there's some tiny tears on the bottom. Anyways, long story short, we're definitely on, we're not quite to major because there's no like major tears or anything, but it's just all there. There's a bunch of minor stuff. The accumulation of it puts us at extensive though, so we're going to go with extensive on that. And the spine is too bad to be moderate. And I would say it's not really torn, split too bad, except right here on the bottom. So I think we would go extensive on that. It's not quite bad enough to be considered major. And the staples, let's see if it's detached from the staples or whether it's still attached. Where's page 11 or 12? Here, right here, 13 or 14, I mean. So it's detached on the top staple. You can see, in fact, that top staple is completely missing there. So yeah, so that's going to count against us pretty good. So that puts us up to probably, when you got a staple missing, you pretty much got to call that major, right? So we're going to put that at major. The cover, we have a giant color breaking crease. We already accounted for this piece missing. It's pretty creased up. This could be pressed a lot flatter. There's writing here at the top. Looks like somebody did some math up here. And there's staining. There's quite a bit of tanning on the back and front. And I don't think we're going to get to major though. I would call this extensive, but not major. So we're going to go with extensive on the cover. And then the interior pages, they're actually not too bad. This is a decent reader's copy here. There's some writing. Somebody put some initials there, it looks like. And, it's off-white. It's not terrible. There is some minor creasing and things like that. Let's see if there's any coupons or anything missing. I don't see anything like that. There's more writing though I can see. It's not too bad back here though. I would say the interior is probably, I would say moderate. It might actually be the best part of the whole book, which makes this a great reader's copy. So I probably wouldn't even bother submitting this unless this book somehow became extremely valuable. I would just keep this raw. Probably not going to be worth submitting, but we'll go ahead and grade it. We'll run it through the tools, see what we come up with. If I had to guess, the fact that the staple's missing and everything, it's major and extensive pretty much everywhere in this book, I'd probably call this something like a 1.5. Since it is still, when you look at it though, it presents pretty good. This could even be a 2. I'd call this a 1.5 or 2, would be my guess. And let me just go ahead and write that down so we'll remember that, 1.5 to 2.0. And we'll just roll with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other one. Okay, here's copy number 2. As you can see, it's much nicer. Presents very well. There's not any major color breaking creases that we can see anywhere on the actual cover itself. So we'll just go ahead and go through our process. Bindery, you know, it's too tough to tell. I mean, these corners are dinged pretty good, so we're going to leave that blank for now. When you're talking about bindery, you're mainly talking about tears, and it has to be obvious bindery stuff. But we'll just go ahead and go to corners now. So that one's blunted pretty good. That one's blunted pretty good. This one's not too bad. It's got some minor damage there. This corner's turned under, and there is a slight color break to it. Let's just take a look at it on the back. Back corner, that one's actually fairly sharp for a 60s book. The bottom one's about the same. It's just dinged slightly. So I'd call these corners moderate. They're not bad enough to be extensive, but we're definitely going to go on to moderate. They're too bad to be minor. They're not bad enough to be extensive. You know, they still look fairly nice. The worst part's probably this one up here, but it's borderline. If they were all like that, I would say it would be extensive, but we'll just stick with moderate for now. And let's look at the edges. So this one has a slight little spot up here on the front, but not too bad otherwise. There's a couple little chips. This could be marble chipping here. You know, so that we have to discount that slightly. It's pretty common in these books. We do have to still allow for it though. And there might be a slight little tear here on the bottom. So we're all ready to moderate. And based on just glancing at this back, I don't think we're ever going to get to extensive. But because of that tear, because of the chipping, you know, we're going to have to be probably moderate. And I don't think we can get away with anything less than that. I mean, we could be maybe somewhere just south of moderate. So, you know, we could go like... this is kind of a tough call because the edge is so nice on the back. And really all we have is this tiny tear here. And then one little chip here and then a few here. So I'm going to say this is somewhere between minor and moderate. I'm going to change my mind on that. I'm going to go minor, but then we're going to add a little bit extra on here. And, you know, so we'll be not quite moderate, but somewhere between minor and moderate there once we enter it into the grading tool. So on the spine is not extensive, not minor. So we're just going to, I think it's a solid moderate though. These are pretty significant color breaking spine ticks right there. It's actually really nice up here, but just down here is going to get us to moderate. So we're going to go with moderate on the spine. Staples, you know, there's definitely some creasing there. There's some stress lines. Top one looks fairly nice. Let's just look at it on the inside. I think it was page 13 and 14. We can get to it here. I don't see any page numbers. Yeah, I guess, does this book not have page numbers? That's interesting. Yeah, right here. Okay. So there's 12. So it's right here. They are attached. Maybe some slight discoloration to them, but they look pretty nice. I'd say these staples are moderate. This one's kind of tearing through slightly there. And that one's got some pretty significant stress lines coming off of it. So we're going to go moderate on the staples. Cover presents very well. That's probably why I bought this book, is just because it's going to look good. It's definitely a very nice looking book. It's still got some gloss to it. So let's just take a look. We already counted for this little crease here. And it lays pretty flat here. Not really seeing any additional creases anywhere. Yeah, this cover looks pretty good. There's some minute, this is actually pretty white. There's some minute tanning up here. The back has some tanning. Yeah, this is a solid cover here. I'm gonna call it minor. Yep, I have to call it minor. It's definitely not tiny. I mean, there's some tanning. You know, there may be a slight little stain right here. I can actually feel that. That may not be a stain. That might be some kind of, I don't know, food or crust. That might clean off. No idea though. So yeah, and then we'll look at the pages. I think they're probably off-white here, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're off-white. Very nice though. And let's just double check it from the back just to make sure we're not missing anything obvious. Because missing a coupon, you know, something like that would be really bad. Unless it's not affecting the story. It's not quite as bad, but still, incomplete is incomplete. Yeah, it's got the normal bindery stuff there, but that they don't really count against that for the interior. So yeah, I'm gonna go with, I'm actually gonna go tiny on the interior on the pages because it's just off-white, not bad. So let me just ballpark the grade here in my head before we run it through the tool. I always like to do that. So I would think, what I usually do, if you're not familiar with watching my videos, is I say, okay, it's probably too good to be this, it's not good enough to be that. That's what we start at. So I could see this being too good to be a straight 5. Just this cover presents too well. I think on the low end this would be a 5.5. And on the high end, maybe it could squeak out a 7. But I'm just going to go with 6 to 6.5 here. I think that's where we're at. Maybe a clean and a press could get us to that 7. I don't think we're ever going to get to 8 or 7.5 though. I could see actually somebody, if this was clean and pressed and that little spot comes off, I could see somebody giving this a 7. It just looks really nice. It's got some gloss, but I don't think it's a 7. I don't think there's any way to get, the staples are too bad. This spine's too bad. There's a couple tears. I saw another one back here. There's some chipping. You know, I don't think we can get to 7. This corner's creased over here. I think this is a solid 6.0 to 6.5 though. So that's what I'm going to put down here. Okay, we'll be right back and we'll take a look. We'll run these through the tool. Okay, we've got our 2 books here that we're going to be grading. Let's do the lower grade book here on the left and the higher grade book here on the right. So let's start with the lower grade one. Kind of interested to see how this works out. I don't have that many low grade books, so I haven't done a whole bunch of these. So most of the ones that I've used to calibrate this, sheet here, and as far as the points go and the ratings, was done from online books. So let's just go ahead and see what we got here. So we didn't put anything on the bindery. Corners we put major. And we put extensive on edges and spine. We put major on staples. We put extensive on the cover. And we put pages as moderate. And that puts us down to a 2.0. And I had given us, by looking at it, my assessment was it was a 1.5 or a 2.0. So, based on reviewing the book and looking at it, we're right at that 2.0 level. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not happy to have a low grade book. I would prefer this book to be higher grade, but I'm happy that the sheet pretty much got the same calculation or result that I had done just from my visual examination and grading it. So we'll look at the other book now, which is more of a mid-grade book. And so we had nothing again on the bindery. Corners we had moderate. And we had between moderate and minor on the edges, so we did this here. And on the spine and the staples we had moderate. And on the cover we had minor. That was the highlight of this book. And on the pages we had tiny. So that puts us right at 6.5. And my visual assessment of the book, my grading of the book without using tools, I said it would be somewhere between a 6.0 and a 6.5. Once again, we're right there exactly where we were thinking. Very happy that that this is saying we're on the higher side of those grades. So I would expect the book on the left, the lower grade book, when it gets graded by a grading company, I would expect it to be somewhere between a 1.5 and a 2.5. That's the general range that I think the vast majority of the time it should fall between. And for the book on the right here, I would expect this book to be somewhere between a 6.0 and a 7.0. I don't think there's a whole bunch of room for improvement on either book really, because a lot of the defects on it, they're color breaks, they're tears, they're pieces missing and things like that. Certainly I think we can improve both books and maybe maximize our chance to get more toward the higher end of our envelope there. So maybe the book, the lower grade book might squeak out a 2.5, and the book on the right, our mid-grade book, might squeak out a 7.0. I don't know if 7.5. That cover is really nice though. So I wouldn't be amazed if it got a 7.5. I think we maybe have a 10% chance of that. So, but maybe we'll get surprised. That would be nice. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. So once again, if you want to know more about this tool and how to use it, I give it away for free. Why not? Give it a try, see how you like it. I'll put a link in the description again for the video. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.